The sound of breaking glass shattered the morning silence as Naomi Jackson Kim hurled her coffee mug against the marble kitchen wall. Her husband Gene stood in the doorway, his tattooed arms crossed over his chest, his dark eyes blazing with an intensity that would have made his men tremble. But Naomi wasn't one of his men. "Say that again," she said, her voice deadly calm as she smoothed down her fitted red dress, the one that hugged every curve of her body perfectly. "I dare you." Jin's jaw clenched, the dragon tattoo on his neck seeming to pulse with his heartbeat.
You heard me the first time. You're not wearing that to the charity gala.
You're not wearing that to the charity gala.
Not with everything that's happening.
Not tonight. Not with everything that's happening. Everything that's happening? Naomi laughed, but there was no humor in it. You mean the fact that you've been lying to me for 3 months? Or the fact that I had to find out from a stranger that someone put a hit on your entire organization? Before we continue with this explosive confrontation, if you're already hooked and want to see where this story goes, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. And drop a comment telling me whose side you're on right now, Jin's or Naomi's. Now let's get back to this showdown. Naomi had known what she was getting into when she married Gene Kim 3 years ago. The son of a powerful Korean crime family, he'd taken over operations in Chicago when he was just 25. She'd been a corporate lawyer, 26 and fierce, determined to make partner at her firm. They'd met when he'd walked into her office looking for legitimate business consultation, and she'd seen right through his polished exterior to the dangerous man beneath. Instead of running, she'd been intrigued. But this was different. "Naomi," Gene said, his voice dropping to that dangerous whisper he used when he was trying to maintain control. "I was protecting you." "Protecting me?" She stepped closer to him, her heels clicking against the tile. At 5'9", she was tall, but Gene still had 3 inches on her. She didn't let that intimidate her. She never had. "You were treating me like a child. Like some fragile thing you needed to keep in the dark." Jin's hand shot out and grabbed her wrist, not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to stop her. "Someone tried to kill my brother last week. They bombed his car. If his daughter hadn't forgotten her backpack and made him go back inside, he'd be dead. So yes, I'm treating you like someone I need to protect, because you are." Naomi felt her breath catch. Jin's brother, Min-jun, and his 5-year-old daughter Sohee. She just had ice cream with them last Sunday. Is Sohee okay? Physically, yes. Emotionally? Jin's grip loosened, his thumb unconsciously stroking the inside of her wrist. She's terrified. Won't let Min-jun out of her sight. For a moment, Naomi's anger softened. But then she remembered why she was furious in the first place. "That's exactly why you should have told me. I'm your wife, Gene. We're supposed to be partners." "Partners?" Gene released her wrist and stepped back, running a hand through his black hair. "Partners don't deliberately paint targets on their backs by showing up to a gala filled with my enemies wearing a dress that announces, 'I'm Gene Kim's weakness.'" The words hit Naomi like a slap. "Is that what you think I am? A weakness? That's not what I meant." "Then what did you mean?" She could feel tears burning behind her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. "Because from where I'm standing, it sounds like you're ashamed of me. Like you want to hide me away." Jin's eyes widened, genuine shock crossing his features. "Ashamed? Naomi, you're the strongest person I know. You're brilliant, beautiful, and you scare the hell out of most of my associates because they know you could dismantle their entire operations with one legal loophole. I could never be ashamed of you. Then stop trying to control what I wear. Stop trying to control where I go." Naomi's voice cracked despite her best efforts. "I left my career for you, Gene. I walked away from everything I'd built because you asked me to, because it was too dangerous to have my name on legal documents that your enemies could trace. I became a ghost in my own life. The least you can do is let me choose my own damn clothes." The silence that followed was heavy with 3 years of unspoken resentments, of sacrifices made and never discussed. Gene looked at his wife, really looked at her, and saw the pain he'd been too blind or too busy to notice before. "You never told me you regretted it," he said quietly. "Because I didn't. I don't." Naomi sighed, her shoulders sagging slightly. I love you, Jean. I chose this life, chose you. But somewhere along the way, you stopped seeing me as your equal and started seeing me as something to protect. Jean moved closer, his hands gently cupping her face. His fingers, calloused from years of fighting his way to the top, were surprisingly gentle against her skin. You want the truth? You are my weakness. Not because you're vulnerable, but because I can't think straight when it comes to you. The thought of someone hurting you, of losing you, it makes me want to burn the entire city down. Then trust me to stand beside you, Naomi said, her hands covering his. Not behind you. Before Jean could respond, his phone buzzed. Then again. And again. He pulled it out, his expression darkening as he read the messages. What is it? Naomi asked, though the sudden tension in Jin's body told her it was bad. The gala's been moved up. It's happening in 2 hours, not tonight. He looked at her, and she saw fear flash across his face before he masked it. And someone just leaked to the Kozlov family that I'll be there. The Kozlovs. Russian bratva who'd been trying to muscle in on Jin's territory for the past year. The same organization suspected of bombing Minjun's car. Naomi's mind raced. Then we don't go. If I don't show, they'll think I'm scared. I'll look weak. Jean was already texting, his fingers flying across the screen. I'm calling in extra security. You'll stay here with. Like hell I will. Naomi grabbed the phone from his hands. You just told me I scare your associates. Let me scare your enemies. Jean stared at her like she'd grown a second head. This isn't a negotiation, Naomi. You're right. It's not. She handed him back his phone. I'm going. With you. As your wife, your partner, and if anyone has a problem with that, they can take it up with both of us. The thing about Jean Kim that most people didn't understand was that beneath the cold, calculating mafia boss exterior was a man who'd been raised to respect strength. His mother had been the real power behind his father's organization, the strategist who'd kept the Kim family on top for decades. He'd been taught early that underestimating a woman was the fastest way to lose everything. He looked at Naomi now, standing in their kitchen in her red dress, her natural hair styled in elegant curls, her dark eyes blazing with determination, and he made a decision that would either save them both or destroy everything. Okay, he said. Naomi blinked. Okay? You're right. I've been treating you like something fragile when you're anything but. Jean pulled her close, pressing his forehead against hers. You want to be my partner? Then be my partner. All in. All in, Naomi agreed, her heart pounding. But I'm still wearing this dress. A smile tugged at Jin's lips, the first real one she'd seen in weeks. I wouldn't have it any other way. But you're wearing a vest under it. Deal. If you're loving this story and want to see how Naomi handles the mafia world, show some love by hitting that like button. And stay tuned because things are about to get even more intense. The next 2 hours were a whirlwind. Jin's men arrived, serious-faced and heavily armed, transforming their home into a military operation. Naomi changed into a longer black dress that could conceal the bulletproof vest, paired with heels she could actually run in if needed. She'd learned that lesson early in their marriage. In the car, Jean briefed her on who would be at the gala and who to watch out for. The Kozlovs would be there, along with representatives from half a dozen other organizations. It was supposed to be neutral ground, a charity event for a children's hospital that all the family supported. Violence was technically forbidden, but that didn't mean much when millions of dollars and territory were at stake. Nikolai Kozlov will try to talk to you, Jean said as they pulled up to the venue, a historic hotel in downtown Chicago. He likes to intimidate through his enemies' loved ones. Don't engage. Or? Naomi raised an eyebrow. Or do. And watch him regret it. Jean squeezed her hand. I trust you. Those 3 words meant more to Naomi than any I love you ever could. The gala was exactly what she expected, ostentatious wealth masquerading as charity, dangerous people in expensive clothes pretending to be respectable. Naomi had been to a few of these events before, always keeping to Jin's side, playing the role of the quiet, supportive wife. Not tonight. Tonight, She worked the room like she used to work a courtroom, making connections, reading people, gathering information. She watched Jin's face when she made the wife of a rival boss laugh at a joke, saw the flash of pride in his eyes. This was the woman he'd fallen in love with, the one who could command a room without saying a word. But she also saw the tension in his shoulders, the way his eyes constantly scanned for threats. They were walking into a trap, they both knew it. The question was whether they could turn it to their advantage. Mrs. Kim. The voice was heavily accented, Russian. Naomi turned to find herself face to face with Nikolai Kozlov. He was in his 50s, thick-bodied and cruel-eyed, with scars that told stories of a violent rise to power. How beautiful you look tonight. Your husband is a lucky man. Mr. Kozlov. Naomi's voice was cool. I'd say it's nice to meet you, but my mother taught me not to lie. Nikolai's smile didn't reach his eyes. Direct. I like that. Your husband should keep you close tonight. These events can be dangerous for beautiful women. Is that a threat? Naomi asked, her voice carrying just enough to make the people around them pause in their conversations. A warning. Between friends. Nikolai's gaze was calculating. I hear your husband has been having some difficulties lately. Accidents happening to his family. Very unfortunate. Naomi felt rage boil in her chest, but she kept her expression neutral. This man had tried to kill a 5-year-old child. Accidents, she repeated. Is that what we're calling attempted murder now? Careful, Mrs. Kim. You don't want to make accusations you can't prove. Don't I? Naomi stepped closer, and she saw surprise flicker across Nikolai's face. Here's the thing, Mr. Kozlov. I might be Jin's wife now, but I used to be the lawyer who sent men like you to prison for life. I know how to prove things. And I'm very, very patient. Before Nikolai could respond, Jin appeared at Naomi's side, his hands settling on the small of her back. Nikolai. I see you've met my wife. I was just telling Mrs. Kim how lovely she looks. My wife doesn't need compliments from men who target children. Jin's voice was arctic. But I appreciate you identifying yourself so clearly. Saves time. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Nikolai's friendly facade cracked. You dare accuse me? I dare more than that. Jin's smile was terrifying. You wanted my attention? You have it. All of it. Naomi felt the shift in energy around them. Jin's men, scattered throughout the room, were moving into position. But so were Kozlov's. This was about to turn into a bloodbath in the middle of a charity gala. Unless... Gentlemen, Naomi said loudly, her courtroom voice cutting through the tension. I'm sure we can settle this like civilized people. This is, after all, a charity event. For children. Children like So-hee Kim, who nearly died last week when someone bombed her father's car. She turned to address the room, all eyes now on her. I know most of you here believe this world has rules. That there are lines we don't cross. That children are off limits. But apparently, Mr. Kozlov doesn't agree. So I think we all deserve to know, is that the kind of man you want to do business with? The genius of Naomi's move wasn't in the accusation. It was in forcing everyone in the room to choose a side. In the underworld, reputation was everything. No one wanted to be associated with a man who killed children, even if they'd done worse themselves. It was about appearance, about honor among thieves. Nikolai's face turned red. This is ridiculous. I had nothing to do with. Then prove it. The voice came from an unexpected source, Victor Chen, head of the Chinese syndicate and Jin's sometimes ally. Submit to an investigation. If you're innocent, you have nothing to fear. Other voices joined in, from families who'd been neutral but now saw an opportunity to weaken the Kozlovs. Naomi had turned Nikolai's power play against him, made him the villain in a room full of villains who still had lines they pretended not to cross. Jean squeezed Naomi's hand, a silent acknowledgement of her brilliance. Nikolai looked around the room, seeing his support crumbling. This isn't over, he said to Jean. No, Jean agreed. It's not. But now everyone knows what you are. Good luck doing business in this city. As Nikolai stormed out with his men, the tension in the room released like a breaking wave. The gala continued, but everything had changed. Gene had won without firing a shot, and everyone knew it was because of his wife. Later, in the car heading home, Gene pulled Naomi close. You were incredible tonight. We were incredible, she corrected. Partners, remember? Partners, he agreed. Then his expression turned serious. But this isn't over. You made an enemy tonight. We made an enemy tonight, Naomi said. And I'm not afraid of him. Are you? Gene looked at his wife, this fierce, brilliant woman who'd given up so much for him and was still willing to stand in the fire beside him. With you? I'm not afraid of anything. When they got home, Naomi kicked off her heels and collapsed on the couch, the adrenaline finally wearing off. Gene sat beside her, pulling her feet into his lap and massaging them without being asked. I'm sorry, he said quietly. For trying to control you. For not seeing what I was doing until it was almost too late. Naomi sat up, meeting his eyes. I'm sorry too. For not telling you how I felt. For letting resentment build instead of communicating. So where do we go from here? Gene asked. Forward. Together. Naomi smiled. But Gene? Next time someone threatens our family, you tell me. Immediately. No more secrets. No more secrets, he promised. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment before Naomi laughed. What? Gene asked. I was just thinking about how we started today. With you telling me I couldn't leave the house in that dress. Gene grinned, pulling her close. Well, technically you didn't leave the house in that dress. You changed. You're impossible. But she was smiling. And you're incredible. Scary, but incredible. The next morning, Naomi woke to find Gene in his office on a video call with his brother Minjun. She brought him coffee, and Minjun's face lit up when he saw her on screen. Naomi. I heard what you did last night. The whole organization is talking about it. Is that good or bad? She asked. Good. Definitely good. Half of Kozlov's people are already looking for new jobs. Nobody wants to work for a boss who's been publicly humiliated like that. Gene pulled Naomi onto his lap, and she didn't resist. How so he? Minjun's expression softened. Better. She actually slept in her own bed last night. And she wants to know when Auntie Naomi is coming over again. Tell her soon, Naomi promised. And tell her I'm bringing that bubble machine she wanted. After the call ended, Gene spun Naomi's chair to face him. I have a proposition for you. I'm listening. I want you to take a more active role in the organization. Not the illegal side, he added quickly, seeing her expression. But the legitimate businesses we run. We need someone smart, someone who understands the law and can keep us on the right side of it when possible. Someone my people respect. Naomi's heart raced. This was what she'd wanted, what she'd been missing: purpose, partnership, the chance to use her skills. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything except marrying you. Jin's eyes were sincere. You proved last night that you can handle this world. Let me prove that I can handle treating you like the equal you've always been. Naomi kissed him, slow and deep, pouring 3 years of love and frustration and hope into it. When they finally broke apart, she smiled. Okay. But I have conditions. Name them. 1. I make my own decisions about my safety. You can advise, but you don't control. 2. No more secrets, period. 3. I want to set up a legitimate foundation for families affected by violence. So he shouldn't have to be scared, and neither should any other kid in the city. Gene considered this. The last condition was risky. It would put them in the spotlight, make them more visible. But it would also give them leverage, respectability, protection through public opinion. Done, he said. All of it. Just like that? Just like that. Though I reserve the right to worry about you constantly. Naomi laughed. I can live with that. As long as you remember that I worry about you too. Over the next few months, everything changed. Naomi didn't just become Jin's partner, she became an essential part of the organization's transformation. She restructured their legitimate businesses, making them profitable enough that they could slowly phase out some of the illegal operations. She launched the foundation, drawing media attention and making the Kim family name synonymous with helping victims of violence rather than causing it. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Nikolai Kozlov tried twice more to make moves against them, but each time, he found himself outmaneuvered. Naomi had been right, she knew how to prove things. And she had the patience to build cases that held up under scrutiny. The FBI started taking a very close interest in Kozlov's operations, based on anonymous tips that were impossible to trace back to the Kims. By the time Kozlov was arrested on RICO charges, his organization had already fallen apart. Jin didn't gloat. Neither did Naomi. They just moved forward, building something different, something better. 1 year after the gala, Naomi stood in front of their bathroom mirror, staring at the positive pregnancy test in her hands. She'd known for a few days but had been waiting for the right moment to tell Jin. She found him in the gym, working out his stress on a punching bag. His tattoos glistened with sweat, and she took a moment to appreciate the view before clearing her throat. "We need to talk," she said. Jin immediately stopped, concern crossing his face. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. But something's going to change." She held out the test. Jin stared at it for a long moment before his eyes met hers, wonder and terror and joy all mixed together. "We're having a baby?" "We're having a baby," Naomi confirmed. Jin crossed the room in 3 strides, pulling her into his arms. "I'm going to be terrible at this." "Probably," Naomi agreed, laughing through sudden tears. "But you'll figure it out." "We both will." "What if I can't protect them?" "What if?" Naomi pulled back, cupping his face in her hands. "Stop. We'll protect our child together, the same way we handle everything else now. As partners." Jin nodded, pressing his forehead against hers. "Partners. Besides," Naomi added with a smile, "with your genes and mine, this kid is going to be terrifying. I almost feel bad for anyone who messes with them." Jin laughed, and it was a sound of pure happiness. "Fair point." That evening, they sat on their balcony overlooking the Chicago skyline, Jin's hand resting on Naomi's still flat stomach. They'd come so far from that morning when they'd fought about a dress, when Naomi had felt invisible and Jin had been too blind to see her. "Do you ever regret it?" Jin asked quietly. "Giving up your career, your old life?" Naomi thought about it honestly before answering. "I regret how it happened. I wish I'd had more choice in the matter. But do I regret where we ended up? No. I found a different way to use my skills, to make a difference. And I found a partner who finally sees me as an equal." "You were always my equal," Jin said. "I was just too stupid and scared to acknowledge it." "Well, you're less stupid now." Naomi grinned. "Still scared, though." "Terrified," Jin admitted. "But you taught me that fear doesn't mean you don't act. It means you act carefully." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the city lights flicker on one by one. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, it always did in their world. But they'd face them together, the way they faced everything now. As partners. As equals. As a family. And if Naomi wanted to wear a red dress to their next event, Jin would tell her she looked beautiful and make sure the security team was ready. Because that's what partners did, they supported each other's strength instead of trying to dim it. "Jin," Naomi said softly. "Yeah? I love you. Even when you're being an overprotective idiot." Jin pulled her closer, kissing the top of her head. "I love you too. Even when you're being reckless and terrifying." "Especially when I'm being reckless and terrifying," Naomi corrected. "Especially then," Jin agreed with a smile. "Before we end this story, I want to hear from you. What did you think of Naomi and Jin's journey? Drop a comment below about your favorite moment, and if you want a part 2, and don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more stories about strong couples who face the world together. Because at the end of the day, Isn't that what we all want? Someone who sees us, really sees us, and chooses to stand beside us anyway. Naomi and Jin's story reminds us that real partnership isn't about one person protecting the other, it's about two strong people choosing to be stronger together. It's about communication, respect, and the courage to be vulnerable with the one person who matters most. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.